Welcome back to the channel. I haven't posted in about a week. I told myself I'd be posting once a week, but I ended up posting about 4 videos in the first week. I did want to create content, but honestly, I've just been taking some good rest the past few days. It's been super hot where I live, and I guess the heat just got to me. It's not that it was super hot, it was just very muggy, so like humid, and I just sweated a lot, and so therefore I'd be tired, I guess. I drink a lot of water, but just long days at work. So now we're here, gonna post it today, and I wrote in the comment book for the catch-all book for the first time today because I was about to buy another one just because I wanted a comment book and a catch-all book. But I was like, you know, I'll just use this because I have it. Just start writing in it. Start writing down my thoughts, everything I remember, because I've been having all these thoughts, listening to all this philosophy podcast, reading my book, and so I've been trying to retain a lot of information and also talking out into the real world. I feel like philosophy is part of experiences as well, meaning like going out and living in the real world, getting real reactions from people, genuine conversations, learning new topics, building relationships with people. I feel like that is a part of because philosophy means love wisdom, so your love for wisdom is just getting real life interaction. I feel like, so one of the notes I wrote in the catch-all book, life is a part of philosophy, obviously experiences in the real world. So pretty much what I just said to sum everything up, because I feel like it's so easy to not necessarily talk to somebody, meaning like you see someone every day at work, you just say hi to, but they could have the most, so for example, I'll just give an example. There's a guy at work that I work with, obviously there's people I work with, and I always say hi here and there, but sometimes we just walk by and we're not that there's no bad toward each other, we just do our own work. And so I asked him if he's seen this movie, just started talking to him, and then he gave me this YouTube channel called Useful Thoughts or Useful Flowcharts or something like that. I don't remember what it is, but I'll put it in the description. And so I started watching it, and it was telling me, and it was pretty interesting. It's about a chart of how all the people in the world, like that we know that are historically, besides in getting information from the Bible, getting actual historical information that they can look at, that you can research, like, okay, this was proven. It shows exactly how everything started from as far as we can get information from, I guess. So I didn't get to watch much of it. My kids were crying. And so I got to talking to him, and he told me some things about, because I went and watched The Odyssey, that's how it came up, and we'll give a review about this. First of all, The Odyssey was a phenomenal movie. I'm glad I didn't listen to the people on Twitter, because I'm glad I don't let people control my life, because it was a 50-50 review on how The Odyssey was, but I went and watched it myself. Great movie. If you can go and watch it, I totally recommend it at the few views I get on this channel. Even if this video's already passed and it's been X amount of time, I'd recommend watching The Odyssey. It's a great movie. 4 out of 5 stars. I grew up loving Greek mythology already. So Poseidon was always my favorite because of the Lightning Thief, Percy Jackson books. I never read them all, but after I finish the book that I'm reading right now, I think I'm going to switch to that genre and just read the whole, read all the series. I've only read the first book and part of the second book, but that's when I really liked the book, and then I just kind of stopped after that. And so that was the first book I could have put down as a kid. That was like a chapter, like a bigger book for me, because I hated reading growing up. Straight up hated it. I didn't like I said, I didn't like to start reading until about 2020. Anyways, and so that movie, great. So I grew up with The Odyssey, meaning we studied it twice, I believe, once in 10th grade, and I want to say once in middle school. I don't remember, I want to say 6th grade. Anyways, I've always enjoyed that story. I always knew about it, and so when I watched Troy growing up and Gladiator and those type of movies as well. Last Samurai, not really a Greek mythology movie. Clash of the Titans, and then there's another Titan ones. But there's a few Greek mythology movies that I really love. Anyways, and so Odyssey, 4 out of 5 stars. The movie was loud. It was loud as, very loud. I could have worn earplugs and still heard the movie because it was that loud at some scenes. Some of the scenes were different than the original story, but I think it was a great movie. It felt like there was so much that it didn't show, it kind of rushed certain parts, but at the same time the movie is 3 hours long. So I'm like, well, you gotta get what you had to get in, so I understand. But I know Twitter specifically, on X I should say, they were arguing about how some of the casting was too woke. Like Helen is portrayed as a black woman in the movie, but in real life, well, in the mythology, she's a blonde, beautiful woman, and so it doesn't retain historical facts. So I had this conversation at work with a fellow friend, and there's 2 things I brought about it, because the one side it doesn't really matter because it's not a part of the actual movie that wasn't part of the plot. Like, she wasn't part of the plot. Like, she was involved, but like not, she wasn't the main character. It was very like, she had less than 5 minutes on the movie, so it really didn't matter. You know what I mean? Like, there's certain characters that had like very small parts in the movie that they didn't just like the castings of their personal views and personal lives on that. And honestly, I didn't care. The movie was great. I was like, yeah, I don't like them, but it was a great movie. So I put that to the side. But on the other side, you want to portray the movie as realistic as possible, but I understand people taking different takes on it. But I understand like changing. The thing is, this wasn't necessarily history, but it's been told a certain way, so you want to keep it that way, even though you've changed things here and there. The casting makes a movie, because if you have a character that doesn't look like the character you always grew up him as, and they totally put on a different person, and there's kind of like throws you off, and it's just preferred. People don't like change, honestly, and so it's preferred to keep it the way it was told to begin with. But at the end of the day, it was his movie. He could have done what he wanted to it. But at the same time, you got to please your consumer. So you can argue this back and forth. I'm on the side where, honestly, for this specific movie, I didn't care. But like I said, I do totally understand like portraying the characters the way they're supposed to be portrayed, just because that's just the way it's supposed to be. So the movie was great. I'd recommend watching it, even if you have to wait till it's streaming or whatnot. I feel like it'll be a while. But also on this level, I do want to start getting into physical media again. From movies to music to books, I want to start filling the physical up, because I feel like online world is just fake. I'm buying rights to these movies. I don't actually own them, and they take streaming services off, and I like to own the movie. When I want to watch something or hear something, you can't see it, but I have a record collection I started in 2016. In about 10 years, I've probably gotten about 40 to 50 records. But then, well, I got a whole box right here with about another 40 to 50, but I got that in one, like, she just gave it to me from a previous job. Anyways, with the ones I bought and just throughout the last 10 years, that's a long time, honestly. My first one was the Denzel Curry Imperial, and that song was on there. And then my most recent one is Eminem. I don't remember which one specifically, but I think it's his newest album plus the first album combined, like the remake of the first. Anyways, kind of off topic, but I like the videos when they kind of go off into the thoughts I want to use. We pretty much talked about everything except the first thing I wrote down, and it flowed great. It was just nice. Oh, also with the, I forgot to mention, so I'm glad I wrote that down. In the Odyssey, I do see a lot of funny memes, because there's this part where he gets tied by the sirens, or he gets tied to the boat, and everybody puts earwax, some sort of wax in their ears so they can't hear the sirens. A siren is like a seductive mermaid, pretty much. And so one of the guys takes the out and he runs to them, and Odysseus is tied to the middle of the boat and he can't get out, and he's crying and freaking out, and there's a lot of good memes about that. But the ending is like the whole weight of the build-up. The ending is so worth it. Such a satisfying ending. It follows the book. If you know how the ending is in the regular story from Homer, then it's pretty similar, I would say. Not much of a difference. I mean, different take, but still overall alright. And that build-up to all of that movie was just great, like perfect ending. So 4 out of 5 stars. Wasn't like 5 out of 5, everything was perfect, but definitely a high-rated movie. Like, honestly, if I had to give it in the 4s, I give it like a 4.65 or a 4.73, somewhere around there. That's how great a movie it was. Maybe 4.84. Anyways, but I wanted to talk about something a little bit serious. Not like super serious, but the book I have been reading is Rise and Fall of the Third Reich. I'm about 314 pages in. I'm very behind. I told myself I was going to read 50 pages a day, and I started off great. I started off ahead, but it's just been very busy at work. I haven't been able to read at work, so I'm fortunate enough to even read at work sometimes on my breaks and whatnot. And then I've been able to read at home because the kids have been sick or we've just been busy. So I read a little bit today, but not as much, nearly as I should have. But it's crazy how almost like everybody knows Hitler's a bad guy, but reading about actually what he did is like, I don't know, it's just like, oh wow, okay, he's a definitely dude. So it starts off like his name wasn't even Hitler. His name was Spruchenberger or something like that, and so his dad's name was Heidler, H with a D, and so he changed his name to Hitler, which was like his uncle's last name or something like that. But his dad's name was Heidler, but he changed it to Hitler. And so he's a very peculiar man. I'm not going to go into super details about it, but one of the things I wanted to bring up is like, so let's set the stage. Before he went to prison, which I didn't even know he went to prison before he became a dictator of Germany, he had like something like a bar. So he stood up 3 of the comrades saying he's going to take over the party, the Nazi party. It starts off as a socialist party. And so he points a gun at all of them and tells them he's going to take over reigns, and they're like, nah. So he runs out of where they're having a big festival in the bar, and everybody's like, waiting. So he tells everybody that he's the leader now, blah, blah, blah. And they're like, no. And so he ends up, I can't remember exactly what happens. They just believe him. And so they go on, using the energy they had, he told everybody to follow him, and they raided a town. Not raided, but they marched down the town. There was a cop, and they had a shootout. And a lot of his guys died, and only one cop got injured on the other side of Germany. And I guess he thought he got shot, and he dipped on his people who actually got shot and were dying. He left them to die. So that was a coward move. And then he went to prison. And then he didn't care if you were a homosexual or a pedophile or a drunkard. He lists all these things because he writes in his own book called the Mein Kampf. I don't even know if I'm saying that. I'm butchering it. Mein Kampf. I can't remember it's MEN space KEIMF or something like that. And it's called My Struggle. And so I guess the book was alright, a hit. It only got popular after he did what he did because it was crazy. Everybody wanted to know what his mind was like. He was a very smart man, but he had a lot of hate in his heart towards the Jews. It doesn't really say why he hates the Jews, but he definitely has a hate for them. And he has an Aryan race is a superior race, meaning he only loved white people. And he was Austrian. And he hated that Austria and Germany were not in the same country. He felt like they should be equal. And so that was kind of his whole goal. Anyways, and so he fell in love with his niece, and he killed his niece. The odds are clear that he probably did, but she committed suicide. And then they started, during something wars, once he gets a little more power, after he gets out of prison, he starts eliminating and assassinating other candidate opponents from the Democratic Party. People were scared of the Nazi Party. There was a second army. There was just tons of crossing overs and blackmailing, and doesn't care. And he's even caught politicians. He protected politicians even when they were bad. One of them was found with a younger man, under 18, I think, of a minor. And it says, keep your personal lives out of politics as long as you can work for me and do what I need to do to be the dictator or the chancellor. Just dang, he's just cold. So I bring all this up to set the stage because there are people on Instagram defending this because they think that since we're in the conspiracy theories of the Zionist, Israel kind of running our country, which I'm not opposed against, but I don't know how far deep, because we just sent them $1.15 trillion last week in a bill, which is crazy. That's another country. We're not getting into that. Anyways, the point is that those people aren't happy with Israel, so they have a hatred towards Israel or Jews, specifically Zionists, but they just hate Israel in general. They think everybody's bad, even though that's not quite correct. Some there are good Jews. The Zionists are who are the people that I do not agree with, because I'm a Christian. Anyways, so therefore, I saw these comments defending him. I don't know if they're bots. Some of them were real accounts, just from the post and tag. You can kind of tell. I feel like I can tell which ones are more realistic than others, because there's a lot of AI ones, and it's crazy. I've already seen a few today that I'm just that's AI, and you can tell by the voice sometimes. You're oh, what the heck? Anyways, it's scary. That's why I don't like to even be online as much as I have in the past few days. I just wanted to get this video out there to YouTube. Anyways, and so I see all this to people. I put a comment on one. I wasn't going to fight everybody. I was just no, it's not going to do anything. I just said, read The Rise and Fall of the Third Reich, and you tell me if that's a good person. Because if that happened today, even in the party that I liked or voted for, that would not be cool. Dang, my party killed the other party because they didn't agree with them and they needed the power. That's not good. You don't want to vote that in. You want to vote someone who is good, which we'll do another book review of The Prince of Niccolo Machiavelli. We'll get into another video of that. I feel like this video is kind of long at the moment. But yeah, I'm on page 311. Crazy man, crazy story. I recommend it's a great read. I'm doing 50 pages a day. I'm about behind 4 to 6 days, I believe, so I got a lot of reading to do tomorrow, which I don't mind. It's just my son's been sick, so it's been hectic. And so it's 1,500 pages roughly, so I told myself that I want to start reading genuinely, which I have been. I started off really good, but I haven't been on myself. But I haven't been on as much as I would like to, but for the right reasons, with being a dad and work and whatnot. So hasn't bugged me. When I have free time, I'll read, which will probably be really soon after this video. I got to edit it out and just send it up. So appreciate the listen. If you have any comments or topics you'd like to bring up, I'd love to talk about them, give some information or my opinion about things. I'm just here to learn and do better and hopefully get your mind going. Even if everything I say is totally not what you believe or like, it's cool just to hear the other person's perspective. Even if I say, hopefully I can sound interesting, which is the most. Don't have a name for the project yet. Still, that's just what this book's about. We're still working on the project. All this is the project. Don't know what to name it yet, but right now it's the project. So we'll see you next time.